Hey everybody, it's Ian the Off Kilter Crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm going to be putting together this monochrome-ish kind of card using the Tim Holtz stamp set Hipster, which I am still very much in love with. Make sure to go check out my other video where I did some cool watercoloring with this stamp set. I really like this stamp set because the images fade out. There's no ending to them per se on the bottom, so you can really do some cool things. If you are skilled enough, which I am not, you could actually finish out the bodies if you wanted to, or you could just kind of watercolor it off and make it fade out, or there's so many different ways that you can play with these stamps and change their looks and even create some really cool creations. So like I said, this is kind of a monochrome-ish color. I kind of cheated a little bit and added some yellow for the eyes, but it's monochrome otherwise because I'm using the same blue-green family that are very closely related. So let's go ahead and put today's card together. Today I'm going to be once again using the Stampers Anonymous from the Tim Holtz collection. This is the Hipster stamp set. Still very much in love with it, and I think it's going to pair up very nicely with this Bo Bunny Cambridge Mini Edge album paper pad. I'm not exactly sure how to use the edges to this one. I think you're supposed to put them into a binder and like make some sort of mini art with them, or I'm not sure. But I love some of the patterns in it, and I think they do have just regular papers in the back. So I think I'm going to use some of these papers to pair up with these guys. I think it's going to look really, really good. Today I'm going to be focusing on just the cat. I love the cat and how it looks. And so let's go ahead and get started setting everything up to stamp. Once again, I'm going to be using my cling stamps that have the foam pad already on them. So if you have the Misty, you take this part out so that way you don't over stamp them. And then you place your stamp in. I'm going to grab my piece of paper so that way I can lay it exactly where I want it. I'm using Neenah Solar White 110 pound cardstock. This is a little scrap that I had over from another project. I'm going to use it for coloring in today's project. I'm also going to be, if I can find it, I'm also going to be using my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This one is my favorite to use with this stamp set because of the fine details and how nicely the Onyx Black ink gets into all of those crevices that you may not be able to get into very easily. Let me throw the magnet on there really quick and press that down, get a nice image off of that, hopefully the first time. If not, I know it's not going anywhere, so I can do it a second time, which I think I'm just going to go ahead and do just to make sure I got the best image possible. I'm also going to be using a piece of this cream colored cardstock. I have an idea. I hope it works out the way that I want it to. We shall see. I'm going to go ahead and put this. I'm going to put the sentiment pretty close to the edge, pretty close to the center, because I'm not exactly sure how I want this all to lay out. So I'm going to put it pretty close to the center so that way I can cut up and get this the way that I want it. I think you'll understand better in just a little bit. In order to create the kind of monochrome color that I'm looking for, I'm going to use 3 of the BG markers from Copic. You've seen me use these 3 colors before. It's the only ones that I have that are in close proximity to each other in a way for me to get good shading and such. So that's why you see me always reaching for the BG49, the BG13, and the BG11. I got these Copics from a workshop that I attended, and I don't really have any others that are close family related markers, if you will. So that's why you always see me grab these. I'm going to be using the lines on the image itself to help me establish where the colors are going to go, because as you can see, the more lines there are, it indicates the more shading that there should be. So working off of that, that kind of helps me know where to lay down the color. And I just realized, well, I didn't just realize, I just remembered that VersaFine ink is not a Copic friendly ink. You cannot use VersaFine ink and Copic markers together. They don't play well together, and I forgot about that until just now, so I'm gonna restamp my image using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and that will work out better, so give me a second, I'll take care of that. Alright, I've now restamped it using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is a Copic friendly ink. So now I'm gonna go in using my Copic markers and color everything in. So your nib is not supposed to look like that. I have apparently dried this one out by using it so much, and I think I actually damaged the tip a little bit by using it when it was so dry. So I'm gonna have to replace the tip and also get a re-inker for it as well, so that way I can get this one charged back up. It mostly worked here on the image. I would have liked to have softened up a little bit of it, but I think it'll be okay for what I'm doing. I don't think anyone's gonna really notice. And now I'm gonna take a Y15 and just add a little bit of yellow into the eyes to give it more cat eye look. Now that I have it all nice and colored in, I'm going to do what I hate to do the most, which is fussy cutting. I'm going to try and cut it out as best as I can. We'll see how this works. Not the best job of fussy cutting, but probably not the worst either. I am going to trim up a little bit down here. I feel like just doesn't quite match what the other side is doing. There we go. I also used a corner rounder to add a little bit of a rounded corner there at the bottom. Took me a little bit, but I have decided to go with this olive green color. I think it'll work nicely for the background of the card. So I'm gonna cut this up to a 5.5 by 4.25 rectangle for the card front. Now I'm gonna cut out my sup. I'm going to try and cut it into a kind of word bubble, so that way it looks like the cat is saying sup. I've used my paper trimmer to go ahead and cut out all the edges, but I left extra on the bottom, so that way I can cut it out. And hopefully, if I'm doing it right, let's see, let me think about it before I actually cut. That doesn't look half bad. It's not the best, but definitely not the worst. I'm going to take my corner rounder from We Are Memory Keepers. I'm going to round off all the corners so that way it looks a little more like a thought or a speech bubble instead of just a random square. Next, I'm going to use some of these triangle studs from Close to My Heart. I'm going to add them on sporadically, and there we go. I really like how the studs are kind of patinaed, or they're not bronzed, but they're not very shiny. I like how that looks. It has more of a matte look to it. I like how that is, and I think this card looks really good. So play around with your monochrome color schemes and see what you can create. I think this card is great because it's a little more masculine. Sometimes in the card and craft world, I feel like we lose sight that there are guys that receive our cards, and sometimes they don't want rainbows and butterflies. But I think this card would be perfect to send to a guy or a boy. I think that's going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you liked my video, and then hopefully we'll share it across YouTube land. Also, don't forget, if you're not already, hit that button down below that says subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and get great updates every time I post a new video. You can also get social with me on my social media links. Those are all listed down in the description below. They include Snapchat, Periscope, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and more. Make sure to go check out all of those down in the description below. I hope everybody has a great day, and remember guys, keep it off kilter. Bye!